Platform project is to be the coordinator. The reason why Acciona is leading the consortium, there are several of them. I will say it's a matter of different circumstances, but I will say that much more important than the reason to be a coordinator is the reason to be involved in the project process. And the only way to make this to be successful in terms of promoting the marine energy sources is basically by trying to look for these possible synergies, which is the core and basic reason for the Marina Platform. For the energy sector, we have been pioneering several technologies, and the reason why we are interested in offshore marine renewables is basically because we consider this as a really source type of energy that has not been harvested and which could bring a lot of potential, not only from an economic point of view and business for the company, but also from a potential for the entire society. We must consider that most of the people in our planet, they are living very close to shorelines. All power plants, they are suffering some sort of concerns from the society as they are all time needed to be much closer to the population and load centers. But that's not going to happen. That seems not to be a situation that will suffer the offshore marine renewables, because we can locate a huge power plant 20-25 kilometers far away from a real important load center with no concerns regarding visibility or whatever else, or noise. And this is extremely important. We can as well try to develop a new model of the electricity. We can develop a model which is going to be much more decentralized, much more closer to the load centers, and where we could even need to not invest in infrastructure like high voltage electrical grids.
Recently, the European Commission has launched the Energy and Climate Package with targets of 2020 for 2020. Many people know about that, and one of the main aspects related to climate change and low carbon economy. Nowadays we have as a strategic activity the Strategic Energy Technology Plan, which insists on several aspects of technology, in particular the renewable energies, and among those renewable energies, wind energy has strong support. And we know that wind energy will evaluate a lot towards offshore, and within this offshore wind energy concept, the deep offshore has to be dealt with, and that's why we have started to look at technological challenges that have to be solved for offshore wind, in particular in the deep offshore, and the floating structures, the platforms are one of the aspects that should be tackled. However, the common use of the infrastructure is essential to the idea of and the philosophy of this topic we raise. So I think we could discuss about that, try to find the best way to solve the problems. Because we have this scheme of having first research project, then demonstration projects, then later on we may help to get financing to further activities. However, I cannot pretend that I know what will be the next framework program, because your project being 54 months, it will no longer be FP7 in line, but the next one, FP8. However, I would say that in general we are very open to international cooperation. Whenever we have a win-win situation, we will encourage participants to go to the US, China, wherever, to solve those world questions of climate change and so on. I think that this public-private partnership for the future are taking more importance, trying to get public funding, private funding together to make real case studies and real prototypes and more full-scale devices. as we know that the cost of them will be very high, but the potential for them will be excellent too.
The Marina project, it actually presents a case where the putting together of the consortium and the work plan so that it fits the objectives that the European Commission wanted to highlight in their call could probably not have been done without a holistic philosophy on how the different partners fit together. You could say that each of the participants and each of the countries that are making up the Marina team, the Marina Consortium, they have different backgrounds and they have a set of skills that fits together in a very comprehensive way, which was perhaps not evident when we started the process of bringing the different players together. This is always challenging to do when you construct a consortium and when you define a project, because you have really to understand not only what is written in the call description or in the topic description that is published, but you also have to understand a little bit about the policy context, the technology context, the science context, and the business.
My university has been involved in the establishment of the Marina project together with Jan Erik and Acciona. We started out together to discuss the possibilities in developing this European project. And initially we were asked to be coordinator, but actually we thought that it would be better to have a coordinator from the industry. We feel that trying to contribute with the vast sources of energy from the oceans, both wind and wave energy, is very important to contribute to to meet the climate challenge, and also because we feel we have a very good background in what we have been doing in Norway so far in exploiting oil and gas. I mean, we have contributed to the climate problems in one sense, but on the other hand, we also have acquired a lot of knowledge about the oceans and the technology we need to exploit the energy from the oceans. And therefore we enthusiastically participate in this, and we also feel from the research point of view it's also very exciting, because in connection with renewable energy from the oceans we need to work together. I mean, it's very strong link between all kinds of engineering disciplines, and this is extremely exciting from the research point of view. Knowledge. For me, as an educator in particular, it's very important to engage young people in important activities. And I feel that the things we are doing in this project is extremely rewarding and challenging and inspiring. And I'm sure, and that is from my experience at the university, for instance, that young people are really concerned about the environment in the future, but also to do new, exciting things. So already now we have a lot of interested young people specializing in wave energy converters, in wind turbine facilities, and so on. And what we are doing also right now is to try to introduce courses on technology in high school. And of course, one of the main items we focus on is renewable energy from the oceans. Marina is about trying to utilize the vast energy in the oceans, partly in the waves, but also in the wind blowing over the oceans.
I'm one of the partners in the Marina Platform project, and I coordinate the Equimar project, which is another EC project in Framework 7, which has been running for about 22 months now. We have to succeed. We have to do this because it's critical to the world that we manage to develop these technologies. We're probably even running into an energy crisis and a carbon crisis. Climate change is real. It's a real problem, and at the moment we are addicted to fossil fuels. We burn huge amounts of coal and oil and gas, and those resources are not going to last forever. We can't afford to carry on burning them, but we're addicted to energy, and we have to do something to generate energy using clean, renewable systems. We can't do it just using wind energy. If we just use offshore wind energy, in Europe we would put lots of turbines into the southern area of the North Sea, and then if the weather turns calm and you get calm weather over that area, over the UK and Belgium and Netherlands and Germany and France, you actually end up not generating any electricity at all from those offshore wind farms, and that situation in the summer can persist for several days. If we can deploy things into deeper water, into other areas, then we'll spread out that risk so that there's generation going on in the north of Scotland or in Norway or into the deeper parts of the North Sea off Germany and Denmark, where at the moment we can't deploy turbines, or even off the French and Spanish Atlantic coasts, where again the resource is not so closely correlated with the weather conditions in the southern North Sea. Add to that the idea that you could generate electricity at the same time from waves or from tidal current, where again they're not very closely correlated to the wind, and we should be able to generate electricity for longer and more cleanly. And it's something we have to do, if you like, to save the world. But the reason for having to do it on a European basis is that if we get this right and we develop these technologies, we will be able to export the technology and export the ideas to other countries, to the USA, to Chile, which has a very large wave resource and a very large tidal resource and quite good winds, to other places in South America and Southern Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Korea, where they equally have a big energy crisis that needs to be dealt with, and for offshore wind and for tidal power. And we really want to capitalise on that position. So it's good for the UK, it's good for Europe, it's good for European business, and it's good for the countries in the world if we eventually get all this working.
We're participating in this Marina project in the leading of Work Package 7, which is related to the components and constituents of these offshore renewable energy platforms. In the Hydraulics and Maritime Research Centre, we have research test tanks where we can simulate the ocean at small scale in the laboratory. The importance of this Marina project is really that it is the first time that the research has been undertaken to integrate all of the developments going on in renewable energy in the marine environment. For a long time, people have been working on wave energy systems and tidal energy systems, trying to develop these into economic realities. The challenge has been very, very difficult, because it is difficult economically to make these individual technologies work. The resource is extremely large. We have a very, very big resource in Europe, particularly in wave energy, but also in offshore wind, and in some cases in the tidal energy, tidal streams. The forces are very large, the corrosion is a problem, the operations are a problem in the marine environment, and so it is quite difficult to make these technologies economic independently. And the importance of this Marina project is that for the first time it's trying to bring together all of these technologies to look for synergies between them, which will then increase the economic potential. The other thing which is coming together also is the experience from the offshore oil and gas industry. And this has been developed in Europe over many years, where oil and gas technology has been utilised in the North Sea and in other places worldwide. So the Marina Platform brings together these technologies from the offshore oil and gas, offshore wind, which is now developing quite rapidly, wave energy technologies and tidal technologies. And if you bring all of these together, perhaps even incorporating other uses of these platforms for aquaculture, other cultures or combined uses, then we improve the economics. And it really is the first time that has happened, and it's very exciting, I think, to see this happening after being involved for a very long time in certainly ocean energy, wave and tidal energy activities. Now I think we have the potential to make a very important new industry, certainly for Europe, which will create jobs and help to improve the economies and help the recovery. And of course, in the end, we're going to be contributing to reducing the dependence on fossil fuels, increasing the use of renewable energies, which is really in everybody's interest in view of the potential for climate change into the future, and also the depletion of the oil and gas resources.
We are joining this Marina project because we have a lot of experience from the offshore industry. We have built oil platforms and oil and gas tubes in the North Sea. We are large in offshore wind. We have the world's first floating wind turbine, offshore wind turbine, and that is a pilot. It's a pilot for learning, and we have plans for developing wind parks in the UK, first of all, and I think that also marina and marine renewable energy is a natural part of this game. So it's a very short way from offshore wind to waves, and it may be a longer way to the tidals, but I think our experience from offshore industry is very important also in marine renewables. So it's the diversity of the project that attracts us. I think that it's a great need for this kind of technology. This project may go a step further in the direction of develop new concepts. EU has ambitious goals in renewable energy, and maybe Marina could be one of the success factors that can help the EU to reach its goals in 2020.
We do work in wind research, in particular offshore wind, as well as in ocean energy research. Our involvement into this project has come in at a very late stage and is focusing on the dissemination activity of the project in order to provide a project liaison, a linkage between the Marina Platform project and a second activity which is funded by the European Commission under the name ORECA, that's the acronym for Ocean Renewable Energy Conversion Platform Coordination Action. The whole sector of offshore renewables is currently suffering from high cost, risky projects, and there is some reluctancy in the industry at the moment to invest into the sector. Consequently, what we need to do is we need to reduce the knowledge gaps, and we need to reduce the risks, and we need to develop perspectives to reduce the cost of the technology by doing research in the area, and this is the key element of the Marina Platform project in order to develop the offshore renewable sector in Europe. It is vital for the development of the sector that we bring together these different expertises, and that we establish a strong collaboration between experts of the different areas over a long period, because the challenges are very big, and none of the existing scientific groups will be able to do that on their own. We need that new type of collaboration to bring together all the required expertise for the sector. The international or European aspect of this collaboration is very obvious. We have different technological expertise in the different countries, we have different resource characteristics in the different countries, and we have a different scientific and technological approach to solve these problems. And the strength of a project like Marina Platform is in the collaboration of and bringing together that different backgrounds and the different experience all over Europe.
Sono innamorato di Marina, una ragazza mora ma carina, ma lei non vuol saperne del mio amore. Cosa farò per conquistare il suo cuore? Un giorno la incontrai sola sola, il cuore mi batteva 1000 all'ora. Quando le dissi che la volevo amare, mi diede un bacio e l'amor sbocciò. Marina, 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 ti voglio al più presto sposa. Marina,